What's going on, everybody? It's the DBAB Podcast back at you with the boys, minus Adam tonight, who has, I guess, prior obligations. He couldn't be with us tonight, but you still got uh, the OGs of the group, right? We got Cobbs, Jack, Cletus, and of course Curtin is here tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Usually, obviously, this is not our normal night of us doing our podcast and then giving it out, sharing it out to the world, but just like anything, there were some things that were had come up on Wednesday that forced us to have to reschedule. So thank you for being patient, and hopefully you enjoy the show tonight. We like to think that we got a really good show tonight. Again, just keeping us updated with what's going on in the world of us as coaches. Right, we all in our spring sports, so things are going off. We're going to talk a little bit about finally giving y'all's opinion about Texas and Oklahoma moving to the SEC, just to kind of talk a little bit about that and how it affects the Big 12, and also how it's going to shape up in the SEC. For our baseball guys, right, we are going to finally give them some of the spotlight by talking about who is going to win Omaha. We're talking about college baseball specifically right now, even though it's early, what, a week or two into their season. Kind of giving the spotlight based on who they've seen perform pretty well and all that kind of fun stuff. Another great topic: greatest movie scenes, inspirational wise, sports movies or whatever, right? So that's going to be a fun one for us. And then the last one, since we're all coaches, is what does it mean being a player's coach to us? We'll go around and give our 2 cents. But again, great show. Hopefully you enjoy it. Thank you for tuning in. Um, and without further ado, let's get it going. All right, everybody, welcome. It's the DBA Podcast with your boy Curtin. Um, to get us going into our intro tonight, first off, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to get into your airwaves to speak about whatever the hell comes across our mind. Thank you for the listen, the downloads. Remember, you can find the DBA Podcast on Twitter, on YouTube, and anywhere where you can find podcasts is where you can find the DBAB podcast. So don't be a bitch. Go get it. Go listen to it. Enjoy it. Tell us what we're doing wrong, so we can make it better for you all. Like I said, Adam's not here, so it's just the four of us. So hopefully it goes by a little quicker tonight, right, fellas? We don't
Yes,
have to
sir.
hear the
Would
Lesser
hope.
Garcia all the time talk and abuse our eardrums and all that kind of stuff. But to get us going here in the intro section, after all that, right, we're going to shift over now to our Be the Light segment. This is one of my favorite personal favorite segments. So thanks again, Jack. But anybody have a Be the Moment, Be the Light moment from the past week, whether it's been you doing something or somebody shining the light on you?
And I'll start it off, I guess. It wasn't exactly just me. It was a whole community coming together, our whole baseball program coming together, and as a whole, as family, whatever you want to call it. But I got two baseball players on my team that I think about 2 weeks ago, maybe. I remember exactly when, but for sure, been over a week that their brother, kind of a stepbrother, but they've been in the family forever. So their brother got hit by a car and had been in a hospital. And
Mm.
you really don't know the results. Multiple. He's already had like 9 surgeries in like 2 weeks, and he's been in a bad spot. And it was hard on the kids, especially they're twins and they're a big family oriented group in their family. I know how they are, and so just to show some respect, for a family that's struggling and everything else. We got stickers made. Had his name on the back for our kids, even though he didn't go to our school and all that. And then, before our first home game, we said a big prayer. Preacher came out and talked, and then we had a helmet that was passed around for donations during the game. And you know, we don't bring a big crowd around in baseball like football and other sports, but it was definitely awesome to see not only our fan base but the opposing fan base come together. And we ended up raising by the end of the night $500 for to give to the family to help with whatever costs they got,
That's
stands,
awesome.
goals, and everything else. So it was definitely
That's
cool getting to see
yeah.
everybody as a community rally around this kid. You know,
Yeah, that's
and
awesome. It's obviously, an unfortunate event that's sad, but when you can have a community come together, and utilize sports to help with that, that coming together, it just makes it that much more special and unique, and kind of lets you know that there are bigger things in life than sports. But that's awesome. Hopefully, that young man recovers fully and can get back to doing what he was doing before, all that good stuff. Jack, you got anything this week?
Uh, I guess I got one. It's not really for me, but it's for the family. It's for my mother-in-law. She, for the first time in 7 years, she took a basketball team to the regional tournament. It wasn't the outcome they wanted, but I know she's doing some great things at her school.
Amen.
She's coaching. She's one of the greatest coaches I know personally.
Amen.
So shout out to her. She's being the light for that community.
Amen.
She took them to places that people thought they doubted and said they wouldn't get there. Which I have a saying for that. It's a little inappropriate. I told her I couldn't tell her what it meant, but she did a really good thing with those girls. She got them into the regional tournament, and for the first time, they weren't picked to be there. They were picked to lose. They weren't picked to be where they were. They proved a bunch of people wrong and did it. So shout out to the Sundown Roughets.
Amen. Shout out to the Sundown and shout out to Coach Watson. I got to watch their season unfold from a distance, mainly through Facebook and through Jack and Hannah and stuff like that. But yes, shout out to those young ladies and the coaches that had a fantastic season. Obviously, not the way they wanted to end it, but they can at least walk up to that court with their head held high based on what they've done. So again, congratulations to them. Super proud. And for the listeners that don't know, this was her first year in Sundown. So uh, great debut season, if you will, and whatnot. Cleet, you got anything for us this week?
No,
Perfect.
I don't.
Perfect.
Cobbs and Jack had two great ones. They
Yeah, absolutely.
unfortunately I have not. I've been I I probably the only thing I've really done like just to help out. Drove. We had a track meet yesterday and drove the bus there and back. So
There you go.
that's about the extent of me being the light. I guess is doing my other duties as assigned.
Yeah, and somebody's got to do it sometime. So
Yeah,
step up to the
if you
plate
know
and
of a
help out.
CDL, then drop kick you.
Hey, I
Yeah, it
want to
is.
give a shout out to old Jack Garcia over here.
Ooh,
You know, as a coach as in Terrell, we had a middle school basketball tournament we had to work,
mm,
and for whatever reason, the referees decided, hey, we're not going to come to Terrell. We're going to go to the other schools, even though they were, already contracted in to come to Terrell. So it's kind of crazy. But old Jack Garcia brought out his old refereeing skills for basketball. Man, do I tell you, that boy
woo!
was up and down the court, just calling everything. I mean, it was wild. You could tell he was in his element. That's for dang sure.
Say one more word, and I'll tee you up. Say one more word, I'll tee you up. Hello.
Oh, easy.
No, that's great. I know that Jack takes great pride in that, and he's probably a really good official. So
He was. I
always
was
good to
actually
have
very
somebody
impressed.
like that on staff.
We joke around a lot, but I was actually very impressed. It was actually impressive to watch him do his thing.
Yeah, he takes that shit serious. So, but like going back to like Cleat with the CDL stuff, like especially at the smaller schools, like people that have CDLs, they're like gold for the
Yeah,
bus department and stuff like that. They always come hunt you down to drive routes. So like I know here in Sealy, I'm like the go-to de facto guy when they need somebody to cover a route, which sometimes isn't annoying, but
you
most
have
times
your
it's
CDL.
okay. I do.
I did not know that. I
Yeah.
thought you were one of those bums who didn't.
No,
Okay.
no, I got it last year because I knew I was going to need to drive I needed it for soccer because we
Hmm.
drive
Easy,
our teams
easy,
everywhere.
man.
So I know,
Oh, it's okay.
terrible. All right,
Sorry,
how about
touchy
say,
subject this year on that kind of stuff here.
yeah, I don't know. Well, it is what it is.
Easy.
Excuse me. So I had a be the light moment. It's not as great as like what Cleet said with Cobbs or Jack. I think those were fantastic, but mine is more of a smaller be the light moment, and it actually occurred to me. It was so my routines on Sundays. I wake up and go to church, and then after church, I go to Tony's, which is like a little restaurant here in town to get breakfast, and then go to Goodwill, Walmart, come home. Right, so like a typical loser. That's my routine on Sundays. Um, Well, being in a small town, a lot of kids that I teach they're all seniors, so a lot of them work. So and they all work throughout this city of Sealy. So there's a girl I know that's in my 8th period class that she works at Tony's and she's like a waitress and all this kind of stuff. So every time I go in there, she's in there. We talk, have a good time, stuff like that. Well, last Sunday I was in there by myself eating, and then ran into a couple families that I knew with their kids that I had coached or had known them, all that kind of stuff. And then they go through, check out, leave. Well, one of them left, well, the other one stayed. And the waitress comes up and says, like, "Hey, don't worry, your ticket's been paid for." And I'm thinking, like, okay, like it's probably got to be family A or this other guy that I know that did it and all this kind of stuff. So I go to the family, right, whose freshman boy is on our soccer team, and I go up to him and say, like, "Hey, did y'all purchase my breakfast? I just wanted to come over here and say thank you, blah blah." And they said, "No, we'll take credit for it, no," all that kind of stuff. And then the other guy saw I texted him, and he had no idea that whatever I was talking about. So I was like, "Great." As I go to Goodwill, like I'm starting to get anxious because I'm the type of person that I go out and do good for a lot of people, but then when people do good for me, it puts me in it makes me feel awkward, especially when I can't say thank you, all that kind of stuff. So it bugged me like for the rest of the day that I couldn't find the person who had paid for my food. And then it turned out, long story short, when I go to school the next day, 8th period, oh, it's before that actually, that girl came in and she told me that she was the one that paid for it. So that was kind of special for me that a student would go out of her way to do that for me. So it also kind of made me feel good to make it, even if I don't teach them anything, or if I think I'm teaching them but they don't care, but at least I'm making enough of an impression on their lives that they can take a moment to help me out, all that kind of stuff, which obviously I don't need it, but you know what I mean? Like having that kind of good natured heart. So, and going out there to be a good person. So that was my be the light moment. I thought this was a great segment this week, fellas. So keep it up. That's why I love it. I think it's just really good to share stories like that, um, or whatnot. But all right, switching gears right now, going to let's go for our updates of the week, right? Let's see where we're at. We'll see where those Terrell Tigers are all on the diamond, where those Terrell Tigers are in the weight room, with those Ozana Lions in the weight room and track, right, Cletus? You're getting into track. And then we'll give you an update on those Sealy Tigers football um, situation as well. But who would like to go first?
Hey, I'll get it. Knock it out.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
It's
So jump on at once, right here.
crickets. I would say congrats to some Lady Tigers. Made regional. They're gonna qualify. They're gonna go for regional next. I think it's Wednesday or Thursday. Yep. They got he's Coach Martinez got 3 girls. They're gonna compete in
All right.
regional. Uh, the Tigers last week had a last chance one. Um, I'm still. I guess the results are in, and I'm waiting until tomorrow to email and text people about what I need to do.
4 o'clock.
Yes,
4 o'clock tomorrow.
Kiva's excited too. I
Heck
think
yeah.
we got right now 5 kids that are qualified to go to regional.
Heck yeah.
Proud of those guys. They worked their butts off to get here, and a lot of it. Here, there's I'll say one that's frustrating for sure. I have one kid that out of nowhere had the best day of his life. Squatted, he benched, and then he got up to his deadlift and just needed to get this deadlift and he'd be smooth sailing, and he ran out of gas. The whole TikTok, what's wrong with it? It ran out of gas. And this young man literally had a heck of a day, killed it all the way through, and gets to the last bit and killed him. And it just breaks your heart, but ain't ain't got no gas in it. I mean, you gotta remember they're 15 and 16-year-old students that they do what they can to make you happy, and he tried. I mean, I'm telling you, he literally got it all. His deadlift, so you put a lot of weight on your back to lift.
Right.
It's I think deadlifts, like lifting, is important. Once you get it off the ground, it's kind of easy. But he literally got it to his shin, up to his knee, and he dropped it. And he's like, "That's it." And then after that, he couldn't get it anymore. So. After that, but other than that, they worked their butts off. I'm waiting for the results, and we'll give you another update as of next week when they compete. But congrats to Lady Tigers. They
Heck yeah.
competed well, and they got 3 going into regional. So I'll keep you updated on those guys. But proud of the team, both of them, Lady Tigers and the Tigers.
All right. Shout out to the Terrell Tiger powerlifting crews. Uh, I know that's probably disappointing for that young man to go through and not be able to get his deadlift, but I'm sure that he works his tail off and is a good kid. So I'm sure he'll come around. Goodness will come back around to him. Cletus, how is it going for powerlifting there in Ozona? And then give us a little preview about what track season's going to look like for y'all.
Not too bad. Last Wednesday, or or I guess this Wednesday. Why one reason why we couldn't record our normal time is because I was at a last chance qualified meet in Sonora, and we brought 10 kids there. 9 of them were there just to keep them, to give them another meet to lift in to compete in. Uh, One kid, we really needed to get him to get a certain total. Had a great, kind of like what Jack will say, had a great squat day. He's a 148 and he squatted 410, 405, somewhere in there,
Heck yeah.
which is, for him, it's freaking awesome.
Big
Yes.
boy.
Bench press, had a not very good bench press day, and had a awful deadlift day. Got a total, thankfully, but it wasn't as he increased his total by about 10 pounds, which is good, but the weight class he's in, it's it's going to be tough
Right.
for him to get in. Um, excuse me. Kind of like Jackson, just waiting for tomorrow 4 o'clock to figure out who all made it. This Thursday we're taking 12 to Shamrock for the girls regionals, and hopefully we can get some totals up, and get some places there where we have a pretty good shot of trying to win that thing,
Right.
try to win the regional meet, which will be pretty cool.
Okay.
Um, and boy wise, we're looking at taking three, I think,
Okay.
three to Kingsville actually to for the boys regionals.
Okay.
Yes.
Going
So
opposite directions there.
so we're going north for 5 hours and going south for 5 hours.
Mm.
Good old THSPA, THSWPA putting us in that situations. So
Yeah.
it is
Absolutely.
what it is, Um, and like I mentioned in the Be the Light segment, we went to Fort Stockton yesterday for a track meet for the first high school track meet of the year, and kids did awesome. They competed. Um, I coached the throwers, and throwers, had some freshmen throw the first time ever with a high school meet and did well. Had a couple of them did better than I thought they were going to do, honestly,
That was good.
with a bigger implement. Um, had one of our varsity throwers, you know, not horrible, but not a great day. But again, competed, did pretty well. There were a lot of bigger schools than us there at that meet, so
Right.
our varsity guys did really well, and our JV guys competed their tail off. And so it was a. I was telling someone the other day, the reason why I love my two spring sports is the weight on the bar doesn't lie, and the stopwatch don't lie.
Mm.
So
Amen.
you're fast. If you're fast, you're fast. If you're
Amen.
strong, you're strong. If you can pick the weight up, you can pick the weight up. If you can throw it further,
Amen.
you can throw it further. There's
Amen.
no like excuses in track and powerlifting. You either can do it or you can't do it. And so, that's why
Amen.
I enjoy those two sports, just because it's pretty black and white. It's either you can or you can't. And so
Yes,
we
sir.
had kids, lots of room to grow, lots of room to get better. But for the most part, our kids did awesome. Like I said, we are hosting our junior high track meet on Tuesday, which we'll be helping with, and we've been working for about 2 or 3 weeks with those junior high kids to get them ready to go for this junior high meet. So, you know, and y'all know, and y'all know this, being some of y'all being smaller schools before, of those coaches, wear a lot of hats. doing 4 to 5 different sports in a year and getting those kids compete and getting ready to go and doing both, high school and junior high and getting those kids ready to go.
Right. Amen.
So pretty excited for Tuesday. Watch those young lions and lady lions getting ready to compete for the first ever track meet. So that's always pretty fun watching those seventh graders, wide eyed and thinking, "Holy crap, what's this?" And then getting them ready to. I always say junior high track's kind of like herding cats.
Hmm.
You just hope we can just get into the starting line and ready to go.
Right.
So
Absolutely. It always seems like it's a cluster too. Every time I go to a track meet, there's so many people everywhere. But
it's
if they're run smoothly and organized and on time, then it's good. But
it can be organized chaos sometimes.
yes, cool, cool. Well, wishing the Ozona Lions all the best with powerlifting, and of course, wishing y'all all the best with track season getting to swing now. It's always fun to watch those kids compete when you're around them all year long and stuff like that. So, um, I'll go next real quick, and then we'll save those Terrell Tigers baseball kids here for last. So, Cobbs,
I don't know if
it's
you want to
all
say
you
that.
there. Um, for the Tigers of Sealy, soccer wise, we are currently sitting in fourth place in our district with a game in hand because our game Friday got canceled because our officials charter that we use had a conflict and they couldn't send us an official for one game, so we had to cancel it and got moved to this coming Wednesday. So we play Tuesday, Wednesday, and then turn around and play again on Friday, which we'll be fine with. We'll be okay. It's not like it's going to be too big of a hassle for us. We've done before in terms of playing games, early in the year, playing tournaments and stuff like that. But other, well, excuse me. Overall, it's been pretty good for our season. We had high goals coming in. Haven't really hit them yet. There's a couple other good teams we have in our district, so um, we just got to show up and battle each and every day. We play our arch rivals on Tuesday for senior night, so that's going to be exciting. I got 11 seniors that we're going to honor and recognize before the game. We kick off the early games now, so it's flipped in our scheduling. We used to play the second game at 7:15. Now we play at 5:15, which usually takes us a little bit of an adjustment to get used to because most people like to play under the lights. So the boys soccer program is no different. But anyway, senior night Tuesday, the makeup game on Wednesday, and then Friday we play at Royal, which is probably going to be chaos. Uh, so that should be fun. It's usually crazy stuff going on at Royal when we play them in soccer. So we're looking forward to that. But we're confident if we win out, obviously we'll have a really good chance of possibly getting that district championship. But right now, we're just going to focus on one game at a time, um, and just take care of what we need to take care of, making sure that we get no more boo boos. Got a couple kids out right now with injuries, and so making sure that we're maintaining as we go on because even though we're used to it, but playing 3 games in a week is a lot on those kids, especially when I would say anywhere between 11 to 13 of them play majority of the time. So um, but we'll see. I'm excited for it. It's going to be a big week for us. So, um, vamos, Tigres. Lastly, those Tigers of Terrell on the diamond. How we looking, Coach Cobbs?
Man, we had our first game Tuesday, or no, it was actually Monday, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Monday. We had our first game Monday.
Whoop whoop.
It didn't turn out the way we wanted, but that's
Oh,
fine. I don't know. I always tell the kids, you gotta you're gonna take your lumps now, and you're gonna be better for it in the end. So
right,
hopefully, as we get the district, we'll be better. But we had our first game on Monday, and then we played 4 games, 2 on Thursday, 2 on Friday at our first tournament over in Mesquite. And we ended up on the week 1-4. Not the way we wanted, but the kids battled. They played hard. You had some kids playing in different positions that they don't normally play in just to see what they got, and you had a couple, played a couple freshmen. So really, I was real surprised with some of the 2 freshmen or 3 freshmen that played. There's some bright spots for them, so I think they got a chance to contribute for us, and help us out in the long run once we get the district. But it's our first year going up to 5A, and we got into a 6A into a tournament that was all 6As. So
mm,
like I said, it was great to see our kids battle, especially playing upper class like that. And
right,
it's a new venture for them in the 5A, so it'll be interesting to see
absolutely,
what they're doing. But we got tough kids, and they're going to battle hard. So kind of stole Jack's saying. What is it? TPW, right? So people win.
Yeah,
Our kids
absolutely.
we were talking about it Saturday with the kids, and they kind of bought into that, and they kind of like it. So now they've been breaking it out of TPW every day. So
There you go.
like I said,
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. We got another, we turn around on Tuesday, play a game, and have another tournament Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we'll see what happens.
there you go. It's always good to have your kids compete, and then I know, like, obviously, it's probably not the start you wanted for your season, but I'm pretty sure you already know that the main meat and potatoes of your year is going to be when district starts. So everything that you're doing now is just sharpening the blade, if you will, getting those kids to play and different positions, like you said. So when it does come to that nut cutting time, you know who's going to give you what and whatnot. So when the games actually matter, and it's always good to play up and play bigger schools and get that experience. So when you do come back down to your level, if you will, you're more prepared compared to playing teams that y'all just beat the crap out of because they're not very good. So
Yes, sir.
well, that's good though. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear all y'all's programs are going well with kids that love what they're doing and competing. That's always good. That's what we want them kids to do is get out there and compete, love what they're doing, have a great time with it, and create memories that will last a lifetime. So that's good. Congratulations, fellas. Um, excuse me. All right. So moving on now to our period of enlightenment. Right. This is going to be our segment where we talk about anything that's inspired us or motivated us through their week. I believe Cobbs and I have been tasked this week with dishing out inspiration and or motivation. And I'll go first so I can let Cobbs prepare if he needs to. Um, my period of enlightenment for
Read the
me.
thing.
uh,
I mean,
That's why I have a Google Doc.
Yeah, well, sometimes stuff happens we don't see it or whatnot. But, anyways, for me, it's not necessarily. I don't know if it's inspirational or motivational, but it's just something that's been on my chest because I've seen it a lot on social media. And that is I would say the mistreatment that teachers are getting nationwide right now. Recently there was a video that came out of the kid in Florida that had his gaming device taken away, and I believe she was an aide or
mhm.
like a classroom aide or something, not even like a real teacher, not a actual classroom teacher, if you will, that she needlessly got abused by this young man, and stuff like that, which it breaks your heart because it's so unnecessary uh, for that and stuff like that. And then when I see that, and the next thing you know, I see a bunch of other videos that have been popping up on Twitter, especially about it's ironic that you get videos of kids filming other kids in class, and these kids are like going off and mouthing to their teachers and acting tough and doing all this other kind of things. And there's just kids that are just with their phones out, just recording and laughing and encouraging, or just sitting there not doing nothing. So it's and as a teacher, you're put literally between a rock and a hard place in these situations because you can't. Well, in theory, you could. You just would run the risk of getting in more trouble than what the kids get. But, you can't say nothing really back to them. So when the kid is cussing you out and all this kind of stuff, you can't really say nothing back to them in a way, like how they're talking to you. You know what I mean? Like it's different than if it was
You
outside of school. You know what I mean? Or you can, if the kids get physical, like if they swing or want to push you and stuff like that, you can't really do nothing to retaliate back. Which I feel, I'm sure for all of us right now, if we were in a position where like, I just don't know how I would react in that kind of situation where a kid's going off and then it gets like physical confrontation comes into it. Like how long I would be able to stay patient before I would have to defend myself. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's just sad to see the disrespect nationwide for people in our profession, and then we all know how it is nowadays within our profession about the lack of respect given to teachers. Except the expectation is for us to go above and beyond and do all this extra stuff for our students, but then that stuff like incidents like this happens, and it's just like we get no support or no help or anything like that. So there's a reason why there's a correlation to see why education there's people leaving it more than joining it
yeah.
recently.
I
So
was I was about to say there's a reason why there's a teacher shortage nationwide right now.
mhm.
And people are wondering why,
That's true.
Yeah, and that's part of it. And I know
unfortunately.
And I know pay is going into it, it'd be nice to get more pay and, like, certain places pay more than others, and I understand all that, but just the I don't know, protection or respect or whatever, or finding some ways to better deal with society nowadays and how kids are behaving, like, finding some way to, I don't know, come to a balance or something, and I know for some kids, it starts at home with the parent and whatnot, and, like, how things are viewed nowadays, but it's just it's just sad to see for others they have to go through that. Luckily, I don't have to worry about it. Like Celia, I have good kids. I don't have to worry about a kid walking in and cussing me out. They kinda know
Same.
better. They know better, so, we might joke around and stuff, but my kids, they're more worried about getting the hell out of school compared to coming and causing a ruckus right now, so
Yep, I agree on that one, Josh.
it's just sad. Especially when you see the video, like, the videos really grind my gear or, like, really upset me when, you got kids filming, not doing nothing to step into the situation, and then laughing and joking about it, so it's just sad, just a bunch of, if you want to call them cowards, if you will, but they rather pull out their phones and record it and laugh and step in and help, so it's sad.
Mm,
If the shoe was on the other foot, they would want somebody to step in and help them, but, uh, it was just, like, personal, like, a couple weeks ago, there's an incident at Sealy after school, uh, heading down to Athletic Office, and 2 kids started getting into it, and instead of me walking by like nothing's going on or pulled out my phone, stepped in between it, grabbed one of the kids and pulled them apart. You know what I mean? So it's just little things like that that people can do that they don't. So it's just sad. But that's why I try to inspire those kids to do better. So hopefully. But I know that's not really inspirational or motivational. I just had to get that off my chest, especially with, well, just the thing with Florida that just went really viral, and it's just sad to see because the kid was 6'6", 270. Like there's nobody stopping that kid, from.
No, that Marine did that was visiting the school.
Well, I'm just saying in general, like for a teacher, like
I
for a
know
female
I know
teacher.
what you're
Yeah,
saying, John. I was just
Yes,
being a smart ass.
I know you
she
are.
was tiny too. She wasn't a very big lady
Yeah,
either.
Right.
it's just sad.
Yeah.
Just,
Uh,
anyhow.
you know, I guess inspiration, motivation, kind of however you want to say it. It's kind of more toward my situation now, like especially with what we're talking about. Like, I'm having a kid now, so it's like now it's motivated me more and inspired me more to look into, you know, I don't know. I guess you could say different techniques of how to raise a child. I guess because you
Mhm.
don't want them to fall into the some of the crap that's going on nowadays in the schools, and so
Hmm.
it's kind of motivated me more to, I guess, self-reflect on myself and how I act and how I want my child to see me act and everything else. So it's kind of crazy, but I guess that's kind of where mine went. Nothing sports related really this year. This week just
Hmm.
kind of since we got the gender reveal and the whole nine, and having a baby girl. It's like, how do you want her to act? How do you want
Yeah,
her to see you act? How do you want her to see your family act? The whole, you know, I guess what they say, kids see as they do as they see, and all that
right.
good stuff. So it's kind of interesting to read some read some articles and watch videos and stuff of what people say and things that actually happen and go on in the world. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. But what's gonna be nice about that experience for you and Taylor is that, you guys, y'all's little one. So first off, for our listeners that don't know, Mr. Cobbs and Mrs. Cobbs are gonna be having a little girl. So congratulations to y'all. Um,
Real dad.
but but your little girl is gonna come into a household with a with parents that I think are really good people. So I think you guys are
Hmm.
going to do a great job raising her as y'all see fit. And I know you said you're doing your research and stuff like that, but I think you'll everything will just come natural to you. You'll be able to figure it out as you go and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, y'all are two great people, awesome to be around, all that kind of stuff. And I think those qualities and traits are going to uh, filter through y'all into her, and that she'll be a great young lady, all that kind of good stuff. Just make sure that you do the right thing so she becomes daddy's girl and not mommy's girl. But
Yeah, ain't
good
that
luck.
she gonna be at every practice. Just wait. She'll be rolling in the dirt.
Yeah, that's good
Oh,
stuff.
I can't wait till 16, 17 years in the future. She brings a boy home.
I'm gonna lose it.
you just
No,
you just use these words,
He's a
boy.
baseball player.
Yeah,
yeah,
boy.
I'm like,
I'm
yeah,
not afraid, boy. I'm not afraid to go back to prison.
uh, boy, that's gonna be that's gonna be. I've already thought about that. I'm like, man, it's not gonna be fun.
You can have it like the was it Jack? Is it the oh what's the movie? God, what's the one with Will Smith and
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys
Bad
scene where
boys,
like the guy comes to the door and they
Tyrone.
yeah and they got
good idea.
you can have Jack come over and y'all can do the Bad Boys scene.
Hey,
Definitely,
And,
definitely.
hey, we're changing the bad boy scene. It's gonna be all four of us there.
I about to say it could be all four of us, or we'll FaceTime Cleet because he'll be somewhere in West
Yeah,
Texas
he'll be
somewhere. You know what I mean?
freaking way up in the Panhandle or something.
You don't. Hell, that's a long way from now. Hell, we
It's
may
all right.
be.
Yeah, we
Who
all might be
knows?
together by then. One of
Yeah,
us will be a
all
head
right.
coach by then, so
Hopefully.
Hey,
and then
better
the rest
happen.
of us slappies will just be the glue that holds everything together. So hopefully, but exciting times. But all right, now let's get into what we're really here for, fellas, and that's lights, camera, action. Right? Like I said, get ready for the worst sports takes ever, or they could be the best sports takes ever. However you want to take them. This is our little debate section. So I got a couple on the men today, a couple on the grill, if you will. So to get this going, right? And if somebody wants to play devil's advocate or whatever, feel free to do so. But I know it's kind of old nose now, but we're gonna throw our 2 cents into there because we have experience with at least two of these programs, with the teams that we like and whatnot. But we're gonna discuss right now the Texas Longhorns and Oklahoma Sooners and their transition from leaving the Big 12 to go to the Southeastern Conference, aka the SEC. Um, I don't know about you guys. This is going to be interesting move for them and whatnot. But anyways, whoever would like to go first to spill their 2 cents, and then we will just go on from there.
They're gonna kill
I,
it, baby.
I hope both those freaking schools burn to the ground and never recover.
Wow,
I hope their department's shut down and they get any kind of recruiting violation they can figure out.
wow,
You know,
I
just because Cleet's
hope,
talking,
I hope both those schools just burn.
wow.
just because Cleet's talking, A&M guy over there. I'm excited because the rivalry's finally back. Be
Yeah,
exciting.
That is
yeah.
exciting.
Be a great
They
week.
That's it.
they can't take their ball away and not play us ever again. So it'd be good to beat that ass.
But being on
Mhm.
serious note, I think they're going to struggle on the football side for sure. I think
Right.
they'll struggle for a year at least a year.
Uh,
But
I
but
think
baseball
longer
on
than
the
that.
baseball side,
Yeah,
I
I
think
yeah,
think so too.
it can be
I
great.
think it's gonna be longer.
they've recruited really well, and
Yeah,
they're
they're
only going to
recruiting really
recruit
well.
better in the Southeastern Conference
Yeah,
because
I
that's
yes,
the
I
conference to be in.
yes, I agree. I'm with Jack. I think it's going to be longer than a year for them to adjust to the SEC because the Big 12 has got some good schools, but and I like to think that SEC is not from top to bottom. Not every school is great. I think they're more top heavy than what some people
Yeah.
like to give it out to. But they still got solid programs throughout the conference that you're going to have to adjust to playing, adjust to new geography that you're going to have to travel to. All that. I think recruiting, they're always gonna get kids. Texas and Oklahoma, they're always gonna get kids no matter what because of the brand. And, if they can get more successful in the field, that'll just help them. But the SEC does bring usually higher caliber kids, higher recruited
Hmm.
kids back into the fold because of the conference and that kids want to play in the SEC and all that kind of stuff. So,
It,
but the biggest thing for me is they're gonna have to win, obviously, right? They can't just go and be 7 and 7-5 or 6-6 consistently and all that stuff and expect to get the top kids because we all know that Bam and Georgia are gonna swoop in and get them anyways. But they're gonna have to. The quicker they can win, the quicker they'll be able to establish themselves as the elites in the conference. But I don't think it's gonna occur anytime soon.
it, yeah, and like the kids they were losing to like Florida, to Bama, to LSU. Now, a big recruiting pitch was like you can play in the Southeastern Conference or you can play in the Big 12. Which one do you want to play in
Right.
to get you ready for the NFL?
Right.
Now those kids, now it's a kind of an even playing field, in a sense where now that recruiting pitch, I'm an AM fan, and that's probably a big recruiting pitch someone and Jimbo have used is: do you want to play in the SEC or do you want to play in the Big 12? A
Right.
conference that's proven to put out NFL players, or a conference that's breaking up, you know, and that's our big recruiting pitch. And now that recruiting pitch is kind of gone away, you
Right.
know. And now, I mean, like you said, you got to play with the big boys. You got to produce on the field. Both those programs are going to be fine. Unfortunately, like I said, it's just they're two big brands that are too good and have good players already
Right.
not to be good. And let's be honest, this isn't the SEC of 15 years ago, 10 years ago that was getting the I formation and ground and pound it and play really physical defense.
Right.
The SEC has freaking gone wide open, and that's what OU and Texas play is a wide open type of offense. The biggest thing to me, and if you ever watch like Big 12 football, SEC football, Big 10 football, the big boy conferences, away from a point, is to me the Southeastern Conference. Their offense and defensive lines are usually a lot better up front than those other conferences. The O line and D line are usually the better.
Mm,
That's what makes the difference when they play the Big 12, when they play the Pac 12, is their offense and defensive lines.
I would,
okay.
I
Well, I
would,
mean,
I would say the Big Ten is bigger and stronger up front, O
O
line
line,
wise.
I
D
yes,
agree.
line,
O
I
line.
would.
D
Yes,
line wise, I would say the ACC and the SEC have the D linemen.
yes, I
Okay,
would
well,
agree.
Two examples of the ACC having the best D linemen. We can go back to our debate about the draft picks. Well, you forget
Clemson, right?
one of the biggest ACC teams in the conference in the college world. There's two of them. I mean, one of them's going to be back to relevance here soon. Viva La Raza is the U, and you know what they produce? They produce some of the best D linemen that ever played the game. I mean, there's 4 or 5 of them that are Hall of Fame, and that got conference are they in? ACC.
But what have they done lately though?
I'm telling you,
Like,
it's like is
calm down.
Oklahoma and has Oklahoma and Texas done anything recently?
Oh no,
That's what we're talking about. So
Oklahoma's been relevant. Texas has
like,
been awful
well, like think about this.
or
If you think
average.
if we talk about this, you're talking about NFL talent compared to this. Well, crap, the NFL Super Bowl this year had 2 Big 12 quarterbacks in the Super Bowl head to head. So I mean, it doesn't matter what you say about the SEC and Big 12, all that BS, because Patrick Mahomes is a Big 12 product. Jalen Hurts started in the SEC and became a Big 12 product. I mean, if you do like the whole stats and this and that, I mean, SEC, Big 12, and all that stuff, it's still not going to matter. Like to me, Texas and Oklahoma has a sales pitch on the SEC now. That's a given,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they will. But one thing that always drives me crazy about Texas is Texas thinks that they should be the Taj Mahal. They are the Taj Mahal in Texas athletics, regardless of what you say. I think they should be every year, every in and out, every year, they should be beating Alabama, Georgia, just because it's Texas. They have the blue collar. They're the blue bloods of the big college football. Texas has been around longer than any team in the Big 12. They're going to be around longer than most teams in the SEC. They have a historic run of being dominant, and now all of a sudden they're off the map. But this is the problem with Texas. They want instant gratification. They want instant success. So, and I think you need to give your coaches more time than year and a half or 2 years to give them success. So, like for Texas, for example, the first 2 years in the SEC are going to struggle. They'll be in the middle of the punt. They'll be this and that. They'll beat some teams they shouldn't. They'll lose to teams they should beat. And that's how it's going to be because they're still fitting their way into the world of the SEC, which is a different ball game, like you mentioned. I think, but the problem is Texas is going to say, oh, an instant gratification. You need to win the SEC South. You need to do this. You need to beat Bama. You need to beat Georgia. You need to beat Arkansas. Well, they're not going to their first couple years in the SEC. They're going to have to get to that point, and they will. Eventually, they'll be okay. But Texas won't ever let their coach stay there long enough to get there. Oklahoma will.
Which is crazy because, like, we're talking about football, but you go to baseball side, like
it's the
they
same
allow
thing.
coaches. No, they allow coaches to stay for a long time, and mean, Augie
Right.
was there forever, and look what he did.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
they were freaking one of the best programs
And
baseball wise in the country. And
Well,
I'm
like
like,
and
dang,
now they're
building.
basketball,
adding
Shaka.
a
I mean,
great
But they
baseball
allowed
tradition to a really good baseball, a really really good baseball
agreed.
conference.
Yes.
Yes, which I think is going to help them in the end because again, they're going to get those recruits now that they're losing to the SEC conference, like
Mhm.
LSU and stuff like that. They're going to help get some of those cats and Ole Miss and all that.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. Definitely get some good points from all y'all. There's a couple things too that helps it out for Texas and OU nowadays. Which they're not necessarily struggling for money, but now moving from the Big 12 to the SEC, they're going to be getting that big boy check,
Yeah.
they were
right?
getting the big boy checks of the Big 12.
I
Right.
know,
No,
but now
well,
it's going
the
to be
thing
even
is,
more now.
it's
So
evenly distributed now. It's not just the Longhorn Network.
Oh,
yeah,
The
so
SEC network
different.
evenly distributes all that money throughout the conference.
yeah,
So everyone get even from your Kentuckys and Vandys to your Alabamas and Georgias, you all get the same amount of money. It
But
doesn't
do
matter how
they?
much money you bring
Do
in.
they?
it's
No,
true.
but
It's true.
that's the revenue sharing.
Yeah,
Again, that's a reason A&M left the Big 12 to the Southeastern Conference was revenue sharing, was money.
yeah.
Just face it, they were scared of
And
Texas. We get it.
Oh
no,
bullshit.
They
and
weren't.
then
That
and
and
then
the that's was the downfall.
Oh, joking.
That's been the downfall of the Big 12 in the beginning is the whole Longhorn Network BS.
Oh,
Like the
yeah.
Big 12
They
plus
allowed
network
it.
thing. That I mean that's the sad part. They allowed that crap, and
Mhm.
now if they didn't, they'd still have. Think about it. They still have Nebraska. That was in the Big 12. You'd have Missouri. They were in the
Colorado.
Big 12. Colorado was in the
Colorado.
Big 12. You would have 16 teams instead of trying to fight to get Cincinnati and all these other teams to join your conference when you already had
BYU.
you had a strong conference until guess what? The divide happened.
Does it?
The divide was the argument at their Big 12 media days was all about the Longhorn Network that created this whole thing for chain reaction for money distribution throughout the league and created this train reaction that caused everything else to fall down, which was what college that is joining the SEC that's going to try to do the same thing. But the funny thing is, they're not the big boys anymore. They're not the big bullies like they are in the Big 12. They're
They
being
can't
the
throw the
bullies.
weight around.
They're not the
Like they
bullies
can.
no more. Like you're
they're
the
gonna
big
try.
brother of the Big 12. You're the big brother. Anything you said, anything you did, you're okay because you're the big brother. And now you're not the big brother anymore.
And here's what I love about this: the because they're joining 2024, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
I
next week.
love their schedule, like Texas and OU schedule. They really don't have many like big name teams coming to Austin or coming to Norman this year. It doesn't look like. Just
Oh.
looking at their schedule, like everything, all their like really big games are away from DKR and away from Norman.
Here's a question. So, like, they're joining 2024. Are they joining? Is that going to be like the start for the football season, like the new school year? Or is that going to be like for the spring sports, starting it off first?
I think it's 2024 football season.
So
yes.
So
football
they'll
season,
play 2020. They'll finish 2023
Big 12, and then move on.
football season and baseball season 2024. Football season 2024. They'll officially
Yeah,
roll
they'll get
everything in
yeah,
because that's what A&M did in 2012. Is they played the 2012 or 2011
11.
football season, 2012 spring in the Big 12. Then they rolled everyone in
Gotcha.
into 2012 into the Southeastern Conference, us and Missouri.
So it's like they're just staying with the date of like school when school officially
Yeah,
first
Yeah.
day of school. Type
Just
thing.
so you
and
know, Cobbs, you're not familiar with it, but that's how most of the time they do things. They talk about things
I
in the
agree.
fall sports, not
I
spring.
agree. I'm just making
Yeah.
sure. Hey,
That's in everything.
you never know.
It's not at the new
nowadays.
year.
I mean, shit, you never know. You got to
Yeah.
make sure.
and I'm
I'm
just
actually
gonna make this one
I just
point real
lost.
quick. And I'm just talking about the Southeast Conference. Missouri is still feels like the oddball in this. Oklahoma and Texas are more SEC than freaking the University of Missouri. You
Well,
know,
West Virginia's in the Big 12, man.
I
They're
know,
way
right?
out
Hey,
there.
well, think about the Big Ten. Big Ten, we think of like cold November football in the snow. Hell, they're getting freaking USC and UCLA, two California schools. They get some sunshine in the in the freaking Big Ten now.
What? Yeah.
Oh man,
I think I think it's gonna
I
be
loved it.
interesting. Football wise, it's gonna be interesting to see that transition. for UT and stuff. I know there's the money that comes in recruiting, but I even think the other sports too. Like, 'cause I think the SEC is starting to become a little bit like their basketball's improving a little bit. So adding Texas and Oklahoma is
They
going to
got the
help
number
out a
one
little
team in the
bit.
nation. What are you talking about?
Yeah, for real.
I know. I'm just saying, like in
Stop
general, it's
it.
okay. Calm down. I'm just saying in general. And then of course, baseball wise,
It's gotten
it's
better.
good.
The basketball has gotten better in the
The
Southeastern
overall,
Conference.
the
Stop it.
basketball has gotten a little
It's
bit
gotten
better.
better.
Stop
I'm not
it.
saying
They'll
it's
go to
great. It's gotten better.
stop
Gotten
it.
better.
Get
Now,
help.
I still think the Big 12 basketball is better than the SEC basketball
The
overall.
worst team
Top to
in the
bottom.
Big 12 can beat any team in the SEC, and they proved it in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. So stop it.
Here's your question since you're talking about that, Jack, and you're all fired up. So since Big 12 is the basketball conference and they are going to SEC, do they lose recruits now? The basketball?
No, definitely
They lose
not.
their people?
Uh,
I still think that like SEC has its top tier teams, and its
What,
terrible
Kentucky,
teams.
Florida?
It has their top tier teams and their terrible teams, and their terrible teams any given day cannot literally go out to try to knock out a top team in the country. The Big 12, the worst team in the Big 12, can go out and go to the number one team in the Big 12 and beat them. That's how competitive the Big 12
I
conference is in
agree.
basketball. Like,
I
literally,
agree.
think about this. You've had, I'm going to talk about the Red Raiders real quick. They were literally on the edge of being the worst team in the Big 12, which they still compare. They're they're a bottom 10-year team in this league right now, but they've won 4 in a row. They put another team that's going to be a shoe in for the Big 12 or the big tournament coming up in March, which we all love to watch. They put them on the ropes. They literally got to go to Kansas. They can go beat Kansas. They've literally won. They've knocked out the top teams that are picked to win this conference. And the sad thing is, any 10 of these teams that are in the Big 12 right now can go play in the tournament in March and knock out and win the first game in March
Yeah.
against some of these teams that are saying they're the best team in the league. Well, like you can literally put the 10th, like what is Oklahoma? You could probably put Oklahoma into the land of 64, and they will win and go to this round of 32 because they will. That's how competitive they are. But they got to come on, man. Did you watch Oklahoma the other night?
No, I don't. I don't watch college basketball until
They
the
put
tournament, man.
Texas on the ropes, bro. Like I'm telling you, they
Better
literally.
or Saturday.
It doesn't matter to me. I think if you're a team, any given day is a heavyweight fight. It's
It
like
is. That's true. I agree with you. I think the
and
Big 12 basketball is
Here, I'll show you how
one
much
of the best
college
conferences.
basketball I've watched this year. Zero.
So to lead into that, with that, Jack,
None.
where my next question was, does and Jack's all fired up already, boys. It's kind of fun. But
Love it.
to lead into that, like obviously, like Big 12's your basketball conference and all that. When we talk about it, does Texas and Oklahoma changing over to the SEC start moving recruits to SEC and improve SEC basketball?
Basketball wise,
Basketball, like,
Basketball?
you know what I'm saying? Like, does it start
uh,
transition a little bit to where, because like we just talked about,
I
like,
mean,
SEC's gotten better in
I
basketball.
think it
Yeah,
helps. I think it's going to take some here and there, but
uh,
I still think the Big 12 overall is still a brand, especially with the new schools coming in to help out. But you still got
mhm.
Kansas. You still got Kansas, which is like the blue blood for Big 12 basketball
yeah,
that are still
Well,
in the Big
the
12. You got
SEC has
Tech that's
Kentucky.
usually there. Um, all those schools that are
I
usually
mean,
pretty consistent. Baylor, right?
yeah.
All that
Florida.
kind of stuff. So no, that's SEC.
That's what I'm talking about. But I mean,
Does it start change? Does it start the train reaction? Like, obviously, it could be a long time from now. Does it start the train reaction of where SEC now starts becoming that group of basketball now? Like, not I want to say the powerhouse and all that, but does it
no.
start the turn a little bit, or does it
But
no,
stay?
but
No, because
no.
but
You got to
college
think about
basketball
this.
I think
isn't
ACC and all that
important
stuff.
in the Southeastern Conference. It's football and baseball
Yeah,
are the
agree.
two big ones in the Southeastern Conference. Basketball is not a big like is not important. I think to the Southeastern Conference.
I don't think it changed. I don't think it changes basketball to make it like the powerhouse in basketball. Like the Big 12 and ACC, even
Hmm.
Big 10 in basketball is more relevant than the SEC at times in basketball, which
Yeah.
I
players
agree.
just mentioned that they're not a basketball school. But if you look at finances for these schools, basketball is starting to be a big piece of the SEC's pile of money.
Oh
Yeah.
And
yeah.
just because of what it is. But you're saying to mention the blue blood of Kentucky. Well, Kentucky is looking at who Kentucky is trying to get rid of Calipari because
Are they really?
he's having a rough season with young kids.
Yeah, and okay, so and speaking of
and,
him too, like
and
the
that's
motherfucker hasn't done nothing since they won in like 12. Like he continuously gets the best kids year in and year out, and they still can't win shit.
well, I was literally telling somebody that, if if you're a college basketball coach, and now they changed it, I think, but the one and done rule has changed college basketball. And a lot of the issue is the SEC has the one and done kids. Like they,
ACC too.
Well, a lot of them, but like when Bama got good a couple years ago, it was a lot of like juniors and seniors.
Mm.
yes, well, like Houston, we don't talk about Houston very much, but shout out to the
Yeah.
Cougs. They're not
They
they
can
don't have a
play.
lot of they don't have they don't have a bunch of one and dones. They got
No.
dudes that came from other conferences, put them together in that one team, and they're competitive. Like the difference between the SEC and the ACC in the Big 12 in basketball, the Big 12 teams have that one, like Joel Embiid that came from Kansas, and all these guys that came from one and dones. But think about this: like who's on the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12 that has literally played 3 years at one school and he transfers to another in the Big 12 and now he's competitive? Kevin McCullough. He played at Texas Tech. He played for Tech. And like think about, I mean, that's a perfect example of like, hey, you don't know, but
Fuck that motherfucker.
man, I respect him, but I just hate he went to Kansas. At least he didn't go to Texas, but like that's a whole conversation. Like to answer your question, Cobbs, no, I don't think it'll make them a powerhouse in basketball. I think it's just going to make them be more relevant.
Yeah.
Having them chances for elite 8 teams and Final 4 teams compared to they have been, just because they can do it now. But I just don't think it's going to change. Make it a change. It's not going to give them this different recruits because they've already got recruits. They've been one and done. Florida, Kentucky,
It just might
Alabama, Ole Miss.
Tennessee.
It just might even it out a little bit more.
Yeah, but if you think of like the spring sports, baseball, right?
Dude, SEC is going to be badass now.
Yes,
it
but
already is,
Oklahoma's not.
it's
But
gonna be great.
OU is not necessarily a baseball school; they're more of a softball school.
Yeah,
But the Southeastern Conference is pretty damn good at softball too.
So, yeah,
You know,
they might. Softball wise,
and
Oklahoma's going to show up.
Like track. Texas is traditionally pretty damn good in track. The Southeastern Conference is pretty damn good in track. Tech is pretty damn good in track. I understand, but we're talking about the Southeastern Conference right now. I'm so.
I just laugh. I know some of you guys can't see this face, but the face when they jump we start talking basketball. They ask the basketball question, but as soon as they get the opportunity to jump on college baseball, they do.
That's why I have the one.
Josh's face is funny when that happens. But I'm telling you,
does he go to sleep?
But
I get on my phone. I get on my phone and go.
You said so. You like. Well, I'll bring up interesting. Josh can look at the stat here in a little bit, but an interesting thing you talk about that the spring sports for the SEC bring in revenue. I don't think necessarily they bring more than basketball does for that conference. Because think about them going to March. Like you're telling me that an Alabama team going into March Madness is going to bring more than what they play in baseball.
No.
Yeah,
I mean that's what you said.
I think they are because Bama's baseball doesn't bring in the same revenue as their basketball,
right?
Because baseball is not very good in Alabama. They're average.
A perfect example. LSU. I'll bring a perfect example.
LSU is probably going to be a better example.
LSU brings them more money in their basketball program, baseball wise.
Well, what?
They're ranked in the top 10 every year.
Their baseball brings in more than their basketball. Is what
you're crazy, brother.
They're top 10 ranked.
Look it up.
Look
it up.
Josh, vouch for us.
Look it up.
They usually make a run to Omaha every year.
I would have to say, based on education received elsewhere, that usually football is the cash cow in college athletics, and then usually the next sport after that is men's basketball.
Yep,
with the possibility of men's baseball.
I'm saying that's my argument is based on my experiences and my readings. It is not baseball. Baseball brings in money. Don't get me wrong, because we all like Omaha. But you're telling me that LSU baseball brings in more revenue than an LSU team that'll go in March Madness and try to make a run. It will make more money.
I don't know.
I got it right. I got it right here.
Did you find it?
Yeah, I just found it. So this is from the 2017 date. So the date is older. In
Mhm.
football, LSU made $86 million
Mhm,
in football. They
Yeah.
made $8.1 million in men's basketball,
mhm.
and they made $6 million in
That's
baseball.
close.
So,
It's
like,
definitely
I
close
would
in
I would
But
say,
production.
like, I would say for programs like LSU that have really good baseball programs, their baseball problem is not their second
they
cash cow, but it's probably close to being the
they,
second the
Yeah,
second
they
one.
don't lose the university money.
yeah,
Right.
that's the big thing there.
They, if anything, they don't lose the university money, and that's the big deal right now. If you can not lose the university money,
Mhm.
you're doing something good.
Right.
And
That's like
most
a
of
go ahead.
I would say in a lot of the big boys and like SC baseball, they don't lose money
Right.
in the fiscal year for those universities.
Yeah. I would say, like, for like even tech, like, the last decade or so, maybe a little less. Like, I know their football program hasn't been as successful, but it still brought in a lot of money. And then
Yeah,
Hmm.
their basketball program has probably brought them a good chunk of change. That's why they've been able to upgrade facilities. But then their baseball program, I feel now, I still think Tech basketball brings in more than their baseball. And when you look at the crowds and stuff like that, that basketball entertains. But I still think Tech's baseball program probably brings in a good amount of dough for the program.
He,
oh, I'm
here's
sure.
the question I got about money too. I know
But
we're
it's
trying
not
to get
more than
off.
basketball. That's my argument.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Vanderbilt. Vandy. So we thinking? Do we think Vandy basketball brings in more than Vandy baseball?
I
That's the
wouldn't
question I'm
think.
asking.
I mean, which one's more relevant? Like when you say Vanderbilt, what do you think? Are you
Van
taking
is
Vanderbilt
But
baseball.
basketball or
so
baseball?
you also bring in, like, you're talking about relevancy. Well, it's not
Right.
money doesn't always bring in relevancy. Like the University of
Oh, I
Wyoming
agree.
brings out a certain amount of money for every sport, but it doesn't mean they're relevant to anything.
Mhm.
Like like
I'm
you
just
could
talking about
they literally even. I mean, I'm talking. You can literally talk relevancy doesn't matter. So like we said, basketball is the second. Where do they bring more money in? I mean, football, basketball, and baseball, I mean, to the things like Josh just
this.
mentioned, tech football is the cash cow for every program. Every program in the
Hmm.
universities from JUCOs all the way down. Football, if they have it, is their moneymaker. Their second sport they put more money in is what?
Basketball,
Usually it's men's
Basketball.
basketball.
More men's and women's basketball. And then third is what?
Men's
baseball,
basketball usually.
Third is what? Baseball.
baseball,
Usually baseball.
I'm
then
not.
women's
I'm not. We're
basketball.
not. We're not dogging baseball here, boys. I
Oh, I know.
promise you.
No,
I'm just saying that I'm
yeah.
literally
It's just facts. It's just
it's
Yeah,
facts.
just
That's
facts
what it
that
is.
they're not
Jackson,
putting.
you know, look at
They're put money in baseball. They do, and they have to get relevant to win national championships every year. But it's not what colleges are like. We're gonna put all of our money into men's
Well, no, you don't put
baseball.
all your money, but
No, you
it
put some
depends.
in, but you don't. You put your money in football, and you put your money in basketball venues, and your
Right.
baseball stuff's put in there to be relevant. But it's not where
Yeah.
basketball. Because, like, think
Now,
about in 2 weeks, or it's 2.5 weeks. Every TV in America
mhm.
is not going to be watching baseball.
Nope.
What are
Uh,
they going to be watching? Shut your ass up. You're
yeah.
not going to be watching
So
baseball.
we're gonna be watching baseball.
You're
I'll be
not
March
going to be
watching
Madness.
watching
baseball.
baseball.
I'll
You
be
are
watching
going to be
baseball.
watching
Here,
every
March
minute,
I'll
Madness.
be
every
watching
game of
baseball on my
March
big
Madness.
TV
Stop it.
and
Stop it.
basketball on my phone.
Stop lying. You're
But you're
so
still
full of
watching it
shit.
though.
It's
Yeah,
unreal.
that's what
You are going to be
I'm not saying I'm
watching
not
March
going to watch
Madness.
it.
I yeah, no, I know.
I'm not saying I'm not going to watch the
I know.
tournament.
But that's and then too, like, football, through their media rights deals, that's how they get majority of their money
Fired up.
nowadays. Basketball gets majority of their money from March
It's
Madness,
good. I mean, put some
and then
cilantro
college
in
baseball, I'm sure, gets majority of their money from the College World Series, but obviously that doesn't draw in as much compared to March Madness. But like the
Like
Vanderbilt example, I would say that it's probably close in terms of revenue for their basketball and baseball programs, but with the basketball and the conference and the media right deal out, I'm sure their basketball program makes probably a little bit more than their baseball program, even though their baseball program is one of the top 5 programs in the nation, if that makes sense. So, um, that's just facts, unfortunately, right? Football,
Come on,
men's
baseball guy. Let's
basketball,
go. You want to
baseball,
fight? Let's go.
I ain't trying to fight
then
you. I agree with you.
Then women's basketball would probably pop in at 4, and then whatever else would come in at 5 in terms of uh, athletics at college level that makes money. So
Agreed.
See, but mm,
Come on now, let's hear it.
oh,
Let's hear. I know
I
you.
was
you
I wasn't
we
even
just
talking about the revenue thing no more. I was talking, I went
we
back on that.
disappointed you.
No, you didn't. I agree with all that. Like, because that they don't. I mean, you can look at high school sports. The least sport that's ever given any money is baseball. Always.
there's also soccer too.
I mean,
Soccer.
and soccer, right now, soccer, right, soccer too. But like, think about it. Those are your least budgeted sports. Period.
Yeah, I got
Like,
you.
I mean, just
I
normal. But
get you.
like,
It's okay.
going
We
back to
understand.
like
It's okay.
talking
We understand.
about talking about Texas and Oklahoma in the big or in the SEC, and are they going to
Uh huh.
be relevant in baseball and all that other stuff? Oklahoma and Texas were both in the College World Series this year.
Yeah. No, no.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think the transitioning for them football wise is going to take some time because they got to adjust to all that. It's different
Yeah.
when you play SEC teams for a bowl game at the end of the year. It's different, but when you have to go through and play them every week
What
now, it's going to be different, and it's going to be interesting to see how the SEC decides to when they do include
the
Texas and
scheduling?
Oklahoma, the scheduling, whether they're going to do
That'll be interesting.
pods, if they're going to keep the divisions. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like I think what they're probably going to do is they're going to have each school is going to have like their 2 or 3 main rivals, and then they're just going to rotate everything else after that.
Well, I did
Like they'll have
see
their little pods.
their.
I agree with that.
I did see like a couple weeks ago, maybe. I was reading an article. I think I read the SEC is going to do away with the 8 game conference schedule and going to 9.
Which makes sense because a lot of those
Yeah,
SEC schools towards the end of the year will schedule a cupcake game or something like that. So now
right. But
every
but
week
in my
matters.
argument, the cupcake
True.
games it keeps those schools afloat.
No, I agree. I agree.
That check from Alabama
No,
that
no, no.
they
I
give
I
to
agree.
North Carolina State
I agree with you.
keeps that school's athletic program afloat for the fiscal year.
I
Yeah,
agree.
but
But
now they just got to go to
now
the
just
Big
put it.
Ten or Big 12.
Now just go put it at
Right.
the beginning of your season.
Yeah, instead of the end. I agree with
Yeah.
that. But
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Because
we still think Texas and Oklahoma is going to be relevant in every sport. I think they're going to struggle in football. That's
Yeah.
what we came down to.
yeah. And
Now,
and
if they can win early in the SEC, that's going to help them accelerate that transition. But if they
and
come over
and
and they struggle and they go 6-6 or 5-7, then it's
well,
going to
I hope
take
both those
longer.
schools get the death penalty. I mean, shit.
Okay,
You say that, but
SMU style.
I hope both schools burn to the ground and get the death penalty. But
Okay,
we can hope on one hand and crap the other.
right. Just so
See
But
everybody
which
knows,
one fills up
Lee's a big
first. I mean,
A&M fan, so that's why he keeps saying.
but like that's not how. I mean, you're right. They're going to schedule like their cupcake games kind of early, and then
they're
later
one, yeah.
so they get better as they go on. They'll do it for the recruit, like Josh just said. They will do it for that reason to help Texas and Oklahoma. It's bad publicity to have Texas and Oklahoma in the big or in the SEC and then be terrible.
Yeah.
So the SEC is going to be like, hey, here you go, baby. Let's get you some help. Let's play you a team we know you can beat or compete with in the beginning of the year. So later down the road, you can get your ass beat and not want to go take your ball and go home.
Right.
It's business. It's
All right,
business.
here you go.
Still alive.
Here's Troy University. You should beat them, and then Troy beats
Well,
them.
and what always bothered me about the Southeastern Conference, it's their scheduling. Like you get the cupcake like in what September usually, right? Early.
Well,
Then you
some
get the
of
one in
them
like
do.
freaking November before the
Yeah,
rivalry
Some
week.
are
that's
like
what I'm
That one
talking
always
about. Right.
that one always irked me. Like I hate
That's
that
what I'm
week of
talking about in their
football.
that's what I'm talking about in their schedule. Like I don't mind the cupcake games at the beginning of the year, knock the rust off, figure everything out. And some of the
But we're
schools like no, not every school needs cupcake, like in terms of the like your resume booster and stuff like that, like when Bama and then play those neutral site games against Oregon or whatever, that's helpful. But anyway. And I keep seeing Jack shake his head and like
Helpful for
uh,
who?
it
For the
helps
college
Bama.
football.
That's the
for
only one that helps
for
is
the college
Alabama.
football playoff committee not pick them for the Final Four. Like, come on.
Why? Because you got beat by Oregon, or Bama
You
beat
beat
Oregon
Oregon
week
by
1.
60, and Oregon goes out and wins the Pac-12 by
I think that looks
triple
Right.
good on your
numbers.
resume. It's the same stuff for like they do for basketball.
Get the
You can't tell me. Okay, so you can't tell me if you had
Jack's
two
right, that's
schools,
it.
You can't tell
and
me.
one played at the beginning of the year. One played fucking like Savannah State or some bullshit school and beat them 100-0, and then you had another school play another premier program and beat them by 40, and then that program that they beat by 40 goes and wins their conference, that doesn't look better on their resume compared to beating Savannah State by 100?
Oh, I agree with that. I
Yeah,
agree with that. I just don't think, like they say, oh, it's okay they lost in the beginning of the year because it's still going to help them get to the college football playoff or the play-in.
But they're extending the playoff too, though.
I know they are, which is a good
no,
thing about time.
I get Jack's argument though.
But that's like it's like saying the whole what Georgia played somebody in the beginning of the year and beat the hell out of them.
Oregon.
Said, oh, it's good they lost. Now they can get back in the hunt for later in the road when they win the Pac-12. Stop lying. It just helps you get better revenue stream for that team you just beat the hell out of. Like poor TCU made a hell of a lot of money playing the Georgia Bulldogs, but you could tell they were not ready for that smoke.
No, they weren't. They weren't.
No. Anyone in this country was not ready for that smoke.
No, even so, like when we went to the clinic in College Station a few weeks ago, like their O-line coach is there, and he's a great guy to like listen to and talk because he just keeps it real. So shout out to him. But like he basically was like at a loss for words when trying to talk about it at the clinic because he literally said like they just didn't show up, which is true. Like I don't think they showed up and were ready to go, but Georgia was on a different planet that night too. So those two things combined did not do well for the TCU Horned Frogs, but
hey, they were there.
They were there. You didn't say that about Miami, so fuck them too.
But it just resume building stuff. It's all talking about like the bracket building stuff right now. That's just wearing me out to things.
I still think they're gonna, you're always gonna hear it on the media because one, they got to talk about shit all the time, but two, it does help a little bit because I still the football season is long and like you could lose that first game and go undefeated and everybody forgets about it, but.
So, all right.
Like, you don't forget about it. It's just
I'm changing it. Yeah, I'm changing. I'm going to keep.
You don't forget about it because A&M got screwed out of that deal because they got beat by someone early, and that's screwed out of the freaking playoff.
Appalachian State.
No, not App State. I was talking about a couple years ago.
LSU.
LSU.
Was it LSU?
Overtime.
The 7 overtime game.
We beat LSU in overtime, homie. Oh no, I'm sorry. Crap. 2 years ago. Yeah. My bad. My brain went to the other one.
Stop it, man. Chingo. I'm trying to
the 7 overtime game or no?
No, it was the 2 years ago.
So
got beat in LSU.
So we're talking sports now. Talking about relevancy in sports. Now, do they? They're expanding the 12-team playoff. Are they going to allow more or SEC teams now? They're going to allow 12 now. I mean, you have Texas, Oklahoma.
I think Alabama, all the conference.
Georgia,
I think all the
conference champions.
Conference champs will go in automatic.
You got
so that's Big 12, ACC, SEC, Pac-12, Big 10. So that's 5 off the bat. So that's 7 at large.
No, it's 5.
It's 7.
Oh, I'm sorry. The 5
7
conference
at large
champs plus the 3 at large. How many? Well, they can spend to 8.
You've got the Power 5. You got the Power 5 conferences. That's 5. Then you have those 2 other conferences that show up at the end, like UCF, which.
Are we counting those guys though?
Well, those are conference champs.
Conference USA.
Yeah,
you're at large. My fault.
At large.
Well, you got to throw Notre Dame in there too. Somewhere.
That's what I'm saying. Like 7. So you give them 7 spots already.
So you have one
conference champs. Are they going to do it like basketball? Was every conference champ?
I don't know. I think they're going to go. I think they're going to go the 5 major conferences and then.
Oh man, that's a given.
The 3.
I know that, but I'm just saying. Like, I could see them. Like, there's going to be people that cry foul. Like, if they try to put a Conference USA winner in there automatically over
like
a 1 loss,
like Texas.
Yeah, or like a 1 loss Bama or somebody that didn't win the SEC or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's still
regardless.
There's still going to be arguments. Hopefully, it makes it a little bit easier to select top 12 compared to top 4. So.
I agree. That's just like what I'm saying. Like, since like now you have like every time Texas and Oklahoma is on the mat or winning in the Big 12 and they win the Big 12, this and that, they're like automatic college football playoff, all automatic seeding. So now that they're in the SEC, that might be a benefit for them. But is it a benefit now for them that they're going to have to go against
Bama, Georgia,
Georgia,
LSU, Auburn, Florida. Yeah.
Like, are they going to be like, oh crap, we got to give it to Texas and Oklahoma? You can't do that anymore. They're in the SEC. When you're in the Big 12, they can say, yeah, there you go. There's a king to the castle. You can't do that anymore in the SEC.
Right.
You got to win in the SEC in order to get that. That's
all right.
I guess they didn't think about
Where you
that.
go though, it's going to be that way no matter what. No matter how big you expand it, somebody's always going to complain they're out for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So, real quick here, I knew that topic was going to get us rolling because it's all something that we love to talk about. When you look at it, we're already, 75 minutes in. Like, Bubs is hitting us on the text saying, like, hey, man, I got to eat. We got to go way over time. So, we're going to quickly, for this next three ones I got, for the next 3 days, it's going to be like, if we can, let's try to like rapid fire through it, and then we'll close it down and wrap it up. But for the next one, this is for our
Cobb's
baseball
doing it.
guys. So
Look at my
our
face.
baseball guys, so y'all can get super excited here. But who's winning Omaha, in your personal opinion, from the beginning of the college baseball season, from teams you've seen or people who they're bringing back, whatever? If you had to like say like right now, this team right here is winning it all. Cobbs?
I got LSU. Just from the start of the year, LSU. I mean, yeah, they got beat by who was it? I don't even Iowa or something the other day, but like overall, like they're powerhouses. I mean, they at the preseason they had like 8 preseason All-Americans. They got the freaking best baseball player in the nation, freaking long-haired dude. I can't even think of his name anymore, but he was a freshman last year that was best player in the nation, and he's back hitting bombs for days.
Tennessee.
Very good.
Tennessee.
So I wrote it down for you. LSU. Plate. Don't say A&M.
Who do I think or who do I want?
No. Just who do you think?
I think it's probably gonna be LSU, man. LSU, but the funny thing is, like Ole Miss, they won it all last year, right?
Yeah. And they weren't
talking about them.
Tennessee.
They weren't supposed to. So
Jack, who do you got?
Tennessee, I hope they get beat by 100 this year.
Tennessee,
every
man.
game.
That coach landed in a gold mine. Tennessee.
He did, but he's
Every
also
game.
getting a lot of bad criticism.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Man, criticism is what is old Dabo Swinney said. I'm not gonna listen to criticism because I'm not gonna take.
Make baseball fun
advice
again.
from him.
Agreed.
Make baseball fun again.
Agreed.
I hear you. Jack, who do you got?
He told you Tennessee.
It's rapid.
Holy crap!
They're doing a dissertation out there, and I just said Tennessee.
Oh, sorry, man. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So we're all keeping SEC schools in.
I'd like to say Tech, but they're young.
I like to say A&M, but this weekend they get beat by like Portland State or somewhere.
How about Slam Marcus, baby?
Slam Marcus.
I did like that.
If they freaking make it, but it's gonna be tough.
That's pretty good.
Dallas
I got to listen to their guy speak at
DBU
coaching schools, Texas State. He was pretty awesome to listen to.
I think I'm gonna go. I don't really follow college baseball, just what I see on Twitter here and there through Tech and Miami. But I'm gonna pick Miami. Yeah. All right. Yeah, they're loaded. They got some talent. All right. Next thing here we got. We'll go one at a time. So just pick one movie or one scene. If you want to briefly talk about it, go ahead. But the greatest inspirational movie scene, it could be a sports movie or it could be a movie in general. Cleet, you're up. Go.
Oh, that was dang.
Told you, rapid fire.
I watched this movie the other day. The Remember Titans, that when they went to Gettysburg.
Yes.
And gave the whole speech about if we don't come together, we too will be destroyed.
Yes. Great movie.
Love that scene. And Denzel being Denzel killed that scene.
Fucking A. I agree. Great scene. Great fucking movie. Strong side. All right. Okay, thanks for leaving me hanging. All right, cool.
That's not even the right scene, ding dong.
I thought it said strong side.
No, I'm talking about the jog to Gettysburg.
No, I know that, but like the thing that they say, the linebacker said.
He's just quoting the movie.
Oh my gosh. You're a slap. You're a slap.
First off, thanks for leaving me hanging, and two, fuck you, Cleet. All right.
You're a slap.
All right, Cobbs, what do you got?
I was actually going to say the same thing as Cleet, so I'm on Cleet's point. I mean, it's just, I don't know, especially with what, being a coach and being a head coach is a big thing. especially baseball wise right now.
Very good, very good. Jack, I think I already know what Jack's gonna say, but
It.
He's predictable.
You could say unpredictable. I'm gonna give a little hint of it. I'm gonna say one of the greatest scenes of all time is the movie scene in Miracle where he's in the locker room talking about
amen. Yes.
9 out of 10 times they'll beat us, but not tonight. Tonight's our
Okay.
night. But overall, the impact. I think the best, my all-time favorite that gets me hyped up every single time is
Gladiator.
Atticus Finch's defense in the courtroom. If you ever seen To Kill a Mockingbird, I recommend. Atticus Finch is in the defense, and he's talking to the jurors, and he's on the stand, and he's talking about no matter what this skin color is, we got to treat everybody the same.
Right.
That gets you hyped up, and it makes you think of a different thing perspective. And you have to. And I have a whole list of movies that you could pick from that really hype me up, like Stand and Deliver. What's the one with Robin Williams and Matt Damon?
Dead Poet Society.
Dead Poet
That
Society,
one?
even the one where he's talking about where he's the janitor.
Is it Beautiful Mind?
No, that one's Russell Crowe.
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
Oh,
That's a good one
yes.
too. I mean,
Yep. Good movies. Good movies.
He said one, Jack, not like 6.
Well, you know how Jack is. So
we gotta hurry. Apparently,
I didn't say remember the
We have
Titans
to
one like
hurry.
Joe Jack.
Trying to keep our people. We've had people say that sometimes we go too long, so I'm trying to keep people interested, man.
yeah, but I think this is a pretty good episode. I think they could hopefully
I agree.
enjoy this one.
I agree.
Anyways,
You guys
I would also say Miracle because I think that speech before the game against the USSR is fabulous. And kind of playing into that underdog role. It's always great to hear it to get your blood flowing. I think Friday Night Lights and Any Given Sunday have good speeches as well to kind of get the juices flowing too. And then the last one I
Gladiator
just had it.
usually has a
what was
pretty
it
good
you said?
one.
Oh,
That's
one I was kind of. I think it was this year, maybe this year or last year. I was introduced to it by one of the coaches here, but I think it's from the Patton movie, the General Patton movie, where he's like General's giving a speech, but to the boys and stuff like that. If you don't know, go listen. I think it's from Patton, where the
The
guys
one
on
with
stage. give a speech.
it's Tommy Lee Jones, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he's the one
George
giving it.
Patton.
I don't know, but he's like talking about like basically that you're gonna go over there and like you're gonna die and you're gonna I don't know, but it's really good. It's like one of those war movies speeches that we played before for one of the kids, or we listened to it as coaches, and it really gets you fired up. But
Hey, to add one,
all the good
build
stuff.
the dreams.
Yes,
You build it, they
Field
will
of Dreams
come.
is good. Field of Dreams is good.
Build it, they will come.
Seat at the table.
Very good.
I'm just saying, build it, they will come. Hey,
First team defense.
it ain't got nothing to do with baseball. That quote has everything to do with the game. But in the end, you can put that quote to anything. If you build a program, guess what? They're going to play. They're going to come.
Seat at the table.
Alabama built it, and guess what? They all come now.
He has no idea what we're talking about.
No,
I do. It's
No
we were
idea.
talking about it the other day.
I got it. I have the name of the movie right here.
Hey, Gunner.
Yeah,
The
I'm gonna have to.
program.
There you go.
I'm gonna have to
Great movie.
send y'all. I'm gonna send y'all the speech that this Patton guy. I think it's gonna get y'all. If y'all haven't listened to it yet, it's gonna get you fired up.
It's a good.
What's that say?
Even
Blood and
Rocky,
Guts. Oh,
baby.
Blood and Guts speech. Yes,
Ooh.
Blood and Guts, really good.
Ooh,
Rocky's pretty
speaking
good
of
too.
Pre-3 coming out pretty quick.
That is.
All right, that was great. Great. All those are great movies and suggestions. And then now the last topic we have here for it's not really a debate, if you will, for lights, camera, action. So it's not necessarily a take for us. But since we're all coaches, what does being a player's coach mean to you? I guess I'll start off so I can get through here. I think it means a lot because you know the better relationship you have with your kids, the more trust that you can establish and build with them, and confidence and motivate them. All that kind of stuff is just going to help them be more successful in whatever sport that that you have with them, and just having that relationship both inside and outside of sports, and letting them know how much you care. Besides just all right, here you go, line up here, play, and I'm going to yell at you when you make a mistake, all that. But having that relationship, being real with them, letting them know that you're there for more than just winning and losing games goes a long way, and those kids buy into it, and then they work 10 times harder and will run through 10,000 walls for you. So,
Is
obviously
that
we've all
called,
had
or is
coaches
that
like that.
called? Is that called a player's coach? Or is that called being an authentic coach?
Authentic.
Both.
I think it can go both ways.
Both.
I think even being a player's coach can also be an authentic coach, regardless. because to me, being a player's coach, sorry if I'm taking
No,
over,
you're good.
but being a player's coach is being yourself and being transparent. And
Mm.
because kids will see through the BS if you're going to be a BSer, they'll see through it in a heartbeat, especially nowadays. So being a
Mm-hmm.
player's coach to me is everything that he just said, but you also got to be transparent. You got to be an open book to those kids sometimes. And I mean, like it, and and I'm sure all of us are the same way, but it's family oriented sport, regardless of what you're playing. And you want your team to be a family and play for each other. Well, be authentic. Open your house to them. I
Right.
mean, like our, Hannah or whatever. She's Mama G to a lot of the kids, just like my wife is Mama Taylor to my whole baseball team. Like when they found out we were having a kid, dude, they skipped me and went over to Taylor and gave her a hug. They said, "Screw Coach Cobbs." They were
Wow.
that you got to be transparent to them. Like you're an open book. You're a player's coach. Kind of like I had my first kid I sent to college. He called me the other day on the way home from tournament, and I called him on my way home from school. Dude, he talked to me for an hour, and he just wanted to talk. Like
Yep.
he just wanted to talk, just say hi.
That's awesome. You always gotta like those interactions and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
Cleat, what does it mean to you?
I s- uh, and me, I mean, hell, that's why we do. Well, that's why we do it, man. Those relationships. I mean, that's what a players coach is, man. It's about relationships and building those relationships. I saw someone on Twitter a week or two, maybe ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. It said if if you ever leave a place and the kids don't miss you, you had there's a problem somewhere. You know, and it's just one of those things where it that's something I think I've done a better job of as I've gotten older in my career is building those relationships and you know and like y'all were kind of saying it's just being authentic, it's being real, and I tell my guys my guys, I say I will never lie to you. If we suck, I'll tell you we suck, but
Mhm.
I will be the first one to freaking celebrate you with you too.
Right.
And that just it's just like Cody, it's just being real, it's being authentic, and kids can
Yes.
see past the BS. And it's
Hmm.
you know my favorite job, like, description on the job boards is kid magnet. You know, if you're not a kid magnet, then why are you doing this thing? You know, when kids want to be around you, and because I'm a firm believer in this, you know, a kid, if a kid likes you, he will play hard for you. If a kid doesn't like you, he won't play very hard for you. And if there's a conflict between like two sports, he's in two different sports, and he has to make a decision. Nine
Right.
times out of 10, the kid who likes that coach more than the other coach, he'll pick that sport because he wants to be around that person.
Right. Absolutely. Jackie Poo.
This is like a whole debate. Like you can get into this. You've heard it negative and positive ways, but I'm a big relationship guy. If you didn't know that, I asked the other day if it's an opportunity to get closer with coaches or staff. Who are you getting closer with? I'm getting closer with the players. That's just who I am as a person.
Right.
But like the negative downfall of things is like some of the greatest coaches of all time. They don't get that title as players coach,
Hmm.
which players coach could be a negative or a positive at the same time. Like how you guys are saying, it sounds just like being an authentic leader. It just
Right.
sounds like being who you are, and the kids will follow. A
Hmm.
player's coach to me could be different things, but I think how it could be portrayed as a player's coach as somebody that the players can like. You think I can't, I mean, it's hard to explain to an extent, but to me, it's being authentic.
Hmm.
Be the light, be the reason why somebody feels like somebody. And
Right.
a player's coach could be taken like they don't say Nick Saban's a player's coach, but he's a effective winner. He loves his players. He needs
Right.
them. And I mean, it doesn't mean it's a downfall for some. Like the other day, I heard it on a broadcast of a high school playoff game that he's a player's coach. Well, aren't all coaches basically players coaches? Because you got to get your players to play
Right.
in order to be successful. I mean, there's different types of leadership. There's different types of roles in everybody's world. but it's all to me. It's be a relationship. I mean,
Right.
you got to get kids to love. You got to. What's that Bruce Arians quote? Coach them hard, love them harder. I mean,
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
that's it. I mean, you got to love them like your own, treat them like your own, treat them like how you want to be treated, and they can see the BS. And I think you can get a negative portrayal of players coach.
Right.
So
I
I mean, if
Sounds
I
like
had
a
that title,
podcast topic for another
to
episode.
me, I would just I don't think I necessarily want to be known as a players coach. I'd want to be as an authentic leader,
right.
authentic coach, someone that they
Yeah.
can go to talk to. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's a bad label. I'm not saying it's a
Right.
good label. I'm just saying that if I'm down in my grave and a preacher's talking to me, I don't want to be known as, oh, he was a players coach. I want to be the guy that I wanted to be a person that changed lives, not just known as a
Right.
players coach.
Yeah,
You know?
I agree, and I know there's kind of like that negative stigma or connotation, that when you're like, oh, he's a player's coach, compared to other forms of being labeled coaching wise and whatnot. But I think we're all similar in terms of our definition or what we think of it, meaning more about the relationships and being, like y'all said, authentic with our kids. I think other people can take it as being like, I was trying to think of different ways that people can take. It's more
Well, it's
like of a softer approach, like you're going to be more
it's
inclusive of your kids in the game and makeup of your team. Because I like to think too, like being a player's coach is that instead of it being like, all right, this is my way or the highway, we're going to do everything. I'm the head coach. We're going to do it like this. Where I feel when there's the player's coach, he's going to still have those same principles, but he is now going to take in stuff that he gets from his players because obviously they're out there in whatever sport. So like, um, he's more acceptive of allowing his players to have freedom and confidence to kind of have their input and have their voices be heard, so you can build some of that team.
Let
You
them have a say in the program.
what other? But
it's like yours. I think a negative connotation sometimes, and I've heard in my career, is don't be their friend, be their coach.
right,
You know, when you're their friend, that's when we have issues. That's when you have issues. When you're their coach, and they can confide in you with stuff, and you have a close relationships, but there's that there's that line of between being their coach and being their friend. You don't want to be their friend, you're the coach.
right,
And this sounds bad, but I jump my guy's butt all the time because I always hear like, "Hey, bro," I say, "I'm not your freaking bro, I'm your coach." All right, and I always have to get on to my guys because we do have a good relationship, but there's that line that can't be crossed
right,
with that title of coach.
right. I agree. Absolutely. You got to have those boundaries, if you will, so they
Hmm.
don't learn to respect and all that kind of stuff. But all right, great. Like always, I think it's great input. Especially not to diss Adam or anything like that, but obviously we're all coaches and whatnot, so we have a little bit more of involvement and all that kind of stuff with what we're talking about right now compared to our logistics guy. But shout out Adam. Well, we missed you, but we'll see you again on Wednesday.
I
We'll
just
see.
I
Um,
just want to add right here. We were worried about this thing going short without Adam. It
no,
didn't. I
it's
think
no,
this
we're
is our
not.
longest episode yet so far.
Yeah. No, but it's been pretty good. I've enjoyed it. I think our lights, camera, action segment was pretty good with what we talked about, and I thought we had a pretty good discussion there, and just maybe long winded, but at the same time, I felt like we talked about a lot of things within
but
that segment, so I thought it was pretty good
but
as we get
but
to our
hell, that's why
final
we
act
said we
here.
started this thing.
Right.
You know,
So
just to
we're not here
us.
to. We're just here to talk sports, cut it up, and whatever how long it takes, how long it takes. So,
Or shoot
um,
at anything. We could literally just wait to post it and then post another one, do Wednesdays or whatever, and just cut it in half and make that one like 30 minutes and just cut it and make it
Oh
one
my
show.
gosh, there. But yeah, but hell, it's again, it's why
part
we
one,
did
part
this.
two.
We're freaking. We were talking about it. It's just it's our friend. I mean, we're all us five are pretty good. We're good friends, and we just want to be able to cut it up and talk to each other.
Yeah, I agree. No, I
This is
like
a
it. I
this is a
like it.
great excuse for us to get together and
No, I
unfortunately, it's not in the same room, but to see each
no,
other and talk to each other.
no. It's always great. Like because like when we didn't have it on Wednesday, it kind of felt like there was something missing. You know, it was obviously not. We didn't have our time with each other, so glad that we were able to get together tonight and get it done and whatnot. But all right, as we get into the final act here, as we're wrapping this beep up, um, how we normally do. You know, I've been cussing all podcast and then I just
just,
bleep
just
out
Hey,
say
the
it,
didn't
last
you?
crap,
word.
man.
Yeah.
We're
Well, it's
this
because
far into it. Just say it.
I know I was just reading what I wrote. Anyways,
Uh,
all right, we got a
if I
couple
can
of stats
slap,
that
I
I
swear.
I know. I went and got a couple of stats, and then if y'all have any motivational quotes, I got a couple that I found that maybe y'all were like or whatnot. But the first stat is it might be a little old now because Super Bowl was a couple weeks ago, but the city of Philly lost three major finals in a 99-day period. So their base MLB team lost in the World Series, their soccer team lost in the MLS Cup or something like that, and then of course the Eagles lost in the Super Bowl. So poor Philly. I'm sure there's
You
not a
you
building
hate to
left.
see it.
Hate to see it.
Hate
I'm
to
sure the
see it.
town burned
Hate
down.
to see it for
Right?
the city
Hate
of
to see it.
Philly.
Hate to
You don't have
see
to
it.
worry about greasing up the light poles with the Sixers.
No.
What
Nope.
what what about what about the stat about the quarterback that's made his first appearance to the Super Bowl hasn't been back?
Yeah. So that was a great one that Jack shared last week sometime. That like quarterbacks, I forgot exactly what number it was. Maybe the last 18 or something like that. Quarterbacks to make their debut in the Super Bowl haven't been back.
Really?
That's
Hmm
pretty
Huh.
interesting.
That
Yep,
is interesting.
and it shows them all, and it was it had them all pictured too. I think I
Yeah.
sent
Did you text that to
Pretty
me?
awesome.
I think I texted it to you.
Let me see.
That's a great podcasting right here.
Yeah, totally great podcast. I just can't remember where.
That's pretty
Anyways,
legit.
it was pretty cool stat that he sent that that obviously the last eight, I think it's 18 quarterbacks that make their debut in the Super Bowl haven't been back. So let me see. All right, and the second one I got again for you baseball guys because I wanted to give y'all some love and get those juices flowing for y'all. But for the Major League Baseball, each team or maybe all together use 850,000 balls per season.
Oh yeah. Dude.
I believe it.
Yep.
I
No
don't know
doubt.
if that's per team or just like the whole MLB together uses 850,000 balls per season, but
Gotta be
that's a
good.
lot of balls. So, yes, a lot
That's
of
what she said.
a lot of baseball, excuse me. Um, anywho, all right. Those are our stats of the week. So if anybody got another one, feel free to share. Usually I'm the stat guy, so it's fine.
Put it on Twitter
But
page.
yeah,
R.I.P.
I always go
Selena.
find them Twitter.
Thank you, Selena.
R.I.P. Selena. I am starting to for the MLB Michael Jordan LBJ. If we LeBron James, if we ever get into that discussion, I've been finding stuff and saving it. So when we have that argument, I could just be the guy
Oh,
that's throwing stuff out there to keep the pot stirring, if you will.
hey,
Lines.
by the way, do y'all see that new movie coming out with Ben Affleck and
Yeah, the one about when they
the
signed him to
courting?
Nike.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Nike.
like
Yeah.
was it courting Jordan?
Hmm
Yeah.
It
Or
looks pretty
yeah,
good.
so it looks really good.
It
It
does
reminds
look
me,
pretty good.
like just the setting of it and the way it kind of comes off, it almost reminds you of like Wolf of Wall Street.
Right?
So,
Somewhat,
Which that
yes.
movie was freaking awesome.
oh, it's
Yeah,
great.
Wolf of Wall Street
I
was
love that
pretty
movie.
good. So this past weekend, I was going to go see Ant Man and Cocaine Bear, but got invited to a barbecue
Cocaine
cook
Bear. I
up at
can't
the
wait.
rodeo. So I'm gonna go see it this coming week. I'm excited to see Cocaine Bear. Um,
Yes, agreed. I am too.
ever since I
Hey,
ever saw the ever since I saw the trailer, I was like, I can't wait to watch this shit. Like
I want
I
to
bet
watch it.
a
I want
bear
to
going
laugh.
crazy.
I bet it's more enjoyable than Ant Man. Just
It's
saying.
gonna be the
Oh,
best and worst movie ever.
Maybe.
oh, I can imagine.
Hey,
Like the reviews have
just think
actually
about
been pretty
this.
good for it, so I'm excited.
Really?
Like, yeah,
Creed 3
Oh,
is
yeah.
coming out pretty quick.
I got to watch the first two before I watch that.
Yeah, I need to watch. I need to watch them again before I watch the third one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I
Mhm.
got two quotes that have come across recently that I think that we'll all enjoy after we get our thumping of the chest done here. That is a great scene from Wolf of Wall Street, though,
Oh,
with
greatness.
McConaughey. So the first one I got, and actually I meant to send it to my pastor because it was like based on what he was talking about at church the last couple of weeks that hit home. But it says, "God removes people from your life because He heard conversations that you did not hear." I thought that one was pretty good. And
Truth.
then,
I
and then
got one for you.
yes, sir. Go ahead.
Kids are the future gifts that we will never see.
Mm.
Truth.
Hmm. That was pretty good.
Mic drop.
Mic
Just
drop.
might
Bang.
drop it.
Mic drop that motherfucker. And then the last one I got, I shared it with the group, so you guys, but with our listeners, it says, if you don't miss the standard some days, then your standard is too low. Which I
Mhm.
thought that one was pretty good, especially within our line of work with sports and all that kind of stuff. So I always want to keep raising that bar, if you will. And if it's too low and everybody's too easy, then time to make a change. So especially if you want to grow and be better. But anywho, those are the two I got. If any of y'all came across anything, feel free to share right now. If not, we will
It was
wrap it up.
Instagram stat.
Hmm?
What?
The stat we were talking about the quarterbacks.
Oh yeah, okay. What was it the last 18?
It says, strange but true, the last 17 quarterbacks to lose their Super Bowl debut haven't made it back.
Yeah,
Okay.
18.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere high like that, but anyway.
And Nutty Buddy, Nutty Bar ice cream sandwiches coming, or ice cream
I
is
saw
coming
that
up too.
It's
Jack
Jackson
Jack
is too.
Jack sent it, and the first person I thought of was Cleet, because when we did the little Debbie's thing, Cleet was like talking about Nutty Buddy. So I'm like, I'm sure he
you're
nuttied in his
rolling out
mouth
the
a
whole
little bit.
store. I don't know.
But that's good. Oh, I also forgot to mention. I was going to mention when we were talking about the SEC, Texas, Oklahoma, that we I think for football, I think it'll make things more exciting. But BYU, Central Florida, Cincinnati, and Houston are joining the conference, the Big 12 conference. So what's that?
Cougar,
Go
go
Cougs.
Cougs. Are you
Oh,
freaking
Cougs.
serious right now?
Go Cougs.
Sorry, I'm
You
sorry. Sorry.
slap?
I know. Anywho's, fellas, as always, appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming on and talking. Right, gig 'em, gig 'em. Right. All love here, but again, as always, it's a pleasure and honor to be able to come together at this time and speak and talk about what we love to do. And I'm just so happy and honored and blessed to be able to um, have our podcast and get our podcast going after all this time of talking about doing a podcast, and now we got it going. So, again, thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in, giving us a listen and whatnot as the guys finger each other through different cameras and stuff, right? With different school things. I apologize. Anyways, fellas, as always, thank you. It's been an honor. Y'all enjoy the rest of your night. Okay, take it easy. I'll see y'all again on Wednesday. Good luck to all your sports programs and have fun at school on Monday.